When a person enters a wooden place without touching the wall, are they able to see that this is a wooden house, or does it look like an ordinary house on the inside?
So once you enter inside, unless you touch, you may not recognize it's a timber house. Because it's a final finishing, just like you see other walls of a concrete house. The same finishing. So you will not realize, actually I've seen many people coming in and they're like, oh, I didn't know that it's a timber house. I didn't know that inside it's timber. After knocking on the wall, that's when they hear the sound and they say, oh, this is timber. And even outside, the smallest house at Easy Housing costs 80 million, which has a bedroom, it has a living room, has a kitchen area, and also has a bathroom.
If I have my architectural drawing and I bring it to you, can you use that to construct a wooden house based on my design?
We can use your plan to build for your timber house.
In this episode, we speak with Brian Kulubya from Housing Concepts Uganda Limited. Easy Housing is transforming Uganda's real estate sector by building wooden homes in a sustainable, stylish, and affordable manner. Using locally sourced timber and eco-friendly designs, Easy Housing is providing a cheaper, faster, and more sustainable alternative to traditional brick-and-mortar building methods. Listen in as we talk about the company's journey, their challenges in breaking new ground, and how they are changing perceptions around wooden homes in Uganda.
We have built in almost all strategic regions of this country. We have built a house there. So if someone is in Chiwenda and wants to see, we have a house. If someone is in Gayaza and wants to see a house, there is one. If you are in Buluzira, you want to see, there is one. Butabika, there is. Muyenga, there is. Mbalala, Mpiji. Currently, we have a big factory in Chileka which can make about 4 to 5 homes a month. So because the demand increased and we needed also to expand. The team has grown.
So National Housing, in this arrangement, if you can share, National Housing would then, in that case, be giving you land, and then on that land you can construct these houses, and then people come and buy those houses from there.
Yes, that is the partnership we are trying to look at.
Welcome to CEO Insights. On here, we talk to CEOs, corporate leaders, and other key people of influence. If you'd like to be on the show or know someone who should, please get in touch with us. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so right now. When you subscribe, you enable us to continue growing, which in turn enables us to continue attracting and bringing you these intriguing guests. Please remember to leave a comment in the section below and tell us about your experience watching the show. Thank you, and let's get on with this episode. Thank you for coming on the show, Brian. For full disclosure, we contacted the CEO of Easy Housing, but he wasn't available. He was engaged, and he gave us your contacts. He said that you would be able to speak to us and tell us more about the work that your company is doing. Okay?
Yeah.
So tell me, what inspired you as Easy Housing to start building wooden houses in Uganda?
Our inspiration was drawn from mainly 2 things I can say. One was the housing deficit, which is not only affecting Uganda in particular, but also across Africa. Africa alone needs 300 million units to be built. And in Uganda, we need 2.4 million units. That is a big housing deficit. And then when we looked at globally, some of the impacts, the effects of the climate change, they have been coming as a result of the construction industry. Statistics from different reports have shown that the global, the construction sector accounts for 40% of the global carbon dioxide emissions. And to break it down for you, you realize that cement and steel industry alone account for 8% of these emissions. And yet timber is the only material which has a negative carbon footprint, because timber will absorb, it will not release. So we looked at how can we link the two, and we realized that if you are to fix the housing gap in Africa, you have to develop a system that does not release these emissions, but also it has to be affordable, and beyond being affordable, it has to be scalable. So our story starts in Uganda, starts in Arua. The founder of Easy Housing by then, he was working, doing business development role with a clean cooking company, and realized that actually people needed to live decently. People needed better accommodation. looked at the slum developments and all these things and was like, can't I apply my experience that I had? Because he had a background in construction, had worked with Sustainer, that is a company in Netherlands, and they had built over 100 homes in Europe, and was like, I can bring the same knowledge in Africa and we close the housing gap together. So we had to build a prototype by that time in one of the nearby places in Arua, around Rhino Camp, around there. So this prototype, when we built it, actually it worked, and it was prefabricated using local materials, timber sourced locally here, screws sourced locally, everything was local, and we said, actually we can build more of these and people will like them because of the first construction. To date, I can say we started in 2022 in Arua, and that was the first prototype we built. So in Uganda, we realized that also when you look at the numbers, recently I read a paper from Daily Monitor and someone wrote that born to rent, that was a big bold heading, and it inspired me to dig deep, and I was like, why are people born to rent when people can actually find accommodation? So the paper noted out that actually 3 in 10 Ugandans can be able to afford building a house because of very many issues that are linked to it, maybe income inequalities. The cost of building materials is where I put more emphasis. And I'm happy that people had not actually known that there is a way you can cut the cost of production for such construction materials and build something that is better, something that is not only going to last temporarily. You know, you may look at a timber house and you say, oh, this is a temporary structure I'm going to build. But these structures can last for over 100 years. And you can build them using they are very cost effective, because in that paper, they had an interview with one of the engineers, and people who have been in this industry for quite a long time. And conventional construction, actually, they noted out that you can build a 2-bedroom house in a village at about 90 million Ugandan shillings. His housing can build that 2-bedroom house at about 61 million Ugandan shillings. 3-bedroom, and that same house you can build it in a city at about 100 million, and that's when you have used the basic. But then when you look at those costs and how different Ugandans are earning money, you may realize that a typical Ugandan will never be able to have the house of their dream for a long period of time. So this is where Easy Housing came in. We want to bridge the housing gap by bringing something that is eco-friendly and also that reaches everyone, even at the baseline of the pyramid. Yeah.
So, quick comment, just to ensure I have this clear. The 2-bedroom house built in the city center with the cheapest methods of construction would be around 100 million.
100 million.
Okay. When we go to the village, the same house will be around 90 million shillings.
Yes.
Easy Housing can build that in a wooden format at 60 million.
Yes.
So that is in the village or also in the village and in the city?
The prototype we are building has no limit where you want it to be. If you want it in a village, it can be placed there. If you want it in a city, it can be placed there. Because our system is prefabrication.
Okay.
We have a central factory in Kampala which makes these homes. So we don't carry materials and start making the house there on site. We bring the house ready, fully built from the factory. It's a matter of loading these frames on the truck. Then we come and assemble it. So when you look at our numbers, we have built in the cities. Like in Kampala, we have already built in places like Luzira, we are building in Butabika, and now we are also building more homes in Muyenga. But we have built it as far as Kasese, Fort Poto. We are now building in Imbarala. We are building in Gayaza, Chiwera. So the system has no limit. It can take these homes anywhere, and a person will have a modern house in a rural area at the same price, and also a modern house in a city at the same price.
So, okay, I like this very much. And basically what you're saying is you have a centralized factory where you manufacture the prefabrications, where that is done. And then depending on the plot that the customer has, you transport the prefabricated house there and then install it. The cost is still the same, the 60 million.
The cost is still the same. The only difference that normally comes in is just a small transport cost for these extra distances. But when you look at how we decided to do this, we said we can price that 2-bedroom house I'm talking about of 61 million. For 61 million for places in a radius of 100 kilometers from Kampala. So beyond 100, we discussed the cost of delivering these frames to the site. And that is still minimum. Minimum, it cannot actually be a limit. That's why people in Fort Portal, those places like Mbarara, Arua, actually, where we built in Arua, it's about 400 kilometers and above. And it was fair enough because when you look at the research in the industry, you'll see that building materials are very expensive. And then in some places, sand is not in every place. You'll find that someone has to transport sand from a very bigger distance, taking it there. So
from Ulwera, I think.
Yeah, from Ulwera. All these are piling on the cost of the construction. So with the Easy Housing, the factory made homes, you just pay only the cost of fuel and we deliver the house.
I have very many questions. First of all, walk me through the process of a customer who has seen your advert and is interested and has called you. What are the steps from the phone call to actually getting the house on the ground? How does that happen?
The first step a person has to go through is you must have seen maybe one of our ads on the website, or you have gone to a website, or you have been searching in Google like, I want to build a house of this kind, or how much is a 2-bedroom house. Then Google randomly brings the Easy Housing for you. So at that particular moment, you land on our phone number. You pick a call, or you get you call one of the representatives at Easy Housing that, hey, I've seen this and I see you guys are building this house, can I get this? So we bring you and we can have that kind of meeting. We discuss your housing needs. We developed standard typologies for easy scaling up. Like we have about 8 models, and all these are 100% customizable. So you may not already have a plan for your house in mind, but we've developed several typologies which you can choose from and say, I want a house of this type, I want a house of this type. If you want it the way it is, that particular day when you went on a phone call and said, I want a house, and we share with you our catalog and you say, yes, I like this 1-bedroom monopitch. The one monopitch are the homes that have a slanting roof. Or you say, I want a 2-bedroom gable. Then we send you our purchase agreement to look through, because now here you have already confirmed that you want this floor plan, and we developed it. We already have its permit sets. We just tell you that now to look through the sales agreement, see our terms and conditions, see our payment plan, and we can be able to deliver for you this home in this period of time. Then when you're okay with it, the next step is making the deposit. So our payment plan has been broken down in only 4 installments, because we can build the house. Maximum time we can take is 4 months. 4 months. So the first month you pay us 10%. That's what the customer will do. We deposit the 10%. So we do the site planning, because we can't just place the house anyhow. Our architect starts working on the site plan. How are we going to orient the house in regard to the other aspects of the site? Then that takes around 1 to 2 weeks. When that is done, the next month you give us 30%. We do the procurement, we place the order for the timber, because we want to make sure that everything is completely financed by you. We don't have like a system whereby we can finance and then you pay later. It's upfront payment. So the next 3rd month, you pay us another 30%. We start working on the prefabrication. In the factory, depending on the size of the home, it can take around 1 to 3 weeks maximum to prefabricate this house. And then the last month, when we're about to bring the house be placed, you give us another 30%, and the 4 months would have completed. By that time, we come and press the house. on your site, everything was already planned. It takes like 1 month to complete everything and you are able to get your keys. So in 4 months, the process has been streamlined. However, we have people who come and say, me, I'm tired of renting. I've been renting for a long period of time. I want a house express. That is also possible. So this is so easy, and it makes, because if you are to bridge the housing gap of 2.4 million units, you need to be building around 100,000 units per year. And you need to have a system which is not going to make people to be stuck around. Someone say, I have to look for plans. Now I have to go through the district to struggle for permit approvals. It has to be easy to replicate. People have to find it easy, and it has to speak to their needs. So when you look at how we design these homes, we design them by putting ourselves into the shoes of the end user. We don't want to design something and say, I think the bedroom would have been here. So we invite you, we take you through and say, are you okay with having the bedroom pressed here? Are you okay with the bathrooms being here? If you say no, the architect makes the changes. And all these are very easy. Yeah.
So I have a question. You talked about permits and not wanting delays, and the timeline sounds very good. When you're building a house, for example, here in Kampala, you have to go to KCCA and get approval for your plan. You get the M&E, you get the architecture, the structure, and all that stuff, right? How does this work for you?
When you look at the permit process in Kampala specifically, because this Kampala has been divided into different segments. We have Kampala proper, those very prime locations like Mujenga, places like Korolo. The permit process is very tight because this is the CBD. The plans that you have to plan for such locations have to be to the city standards. So the permit process has been classified into different categories where we have the permanent structures and the semi-permanent structures. And the permanent structures can include these conventional construction methods like a brick-and-mortar structure, someone who builds a house without expecting to shift it at any one point. But then when you look at easy homes, these are structures that are permanent for the time you allow them to be, but they can then be demountable and be taken to another site should you change your mind and say, I want to relocate this house and put it here. So going through the permit process is not that hard. It's very easy. And
so what you're saying, the requirements for the permanent structure of concrete is different from the ones of the structures such as yours.
Yes.
And with yours, the process is faster.
Exactly.
And then you also mentioned that you had already got approval for the different models. Does that mean that when someone wants a model, they will have no issue with the delays in KCCA approval? It is just something like a blanket approval you received already for these different models, and then you just start construction?
Yeah. So when someone has gone to purchase a house from Easy Housing, of course we shall take you through up to that phase. We give you the permitted drawings, and the permit drawings will include everything, the house, electrical plans, whatever. And you just have to take them to the city council, your municipality, or the area where you want to go. But these people will not give you a hard time because...
Do you do that service for the customer, or you want the customer to go for themselves?
We can do it for them if they choose to.
Because me, I wouldn't want to have that hassle. I want to pay you the money and they find the house with the key.
Yeah, we can do for them actually that process because everything will be transparent and everything can be done online. Every stage that we are going to, you are seeing the fees that you have to incur. However, most of our clients, on average, we have not done it to anyone because most of our clients have been finding it easy to do it for themselves. So it's an easy step. It's an easy step. However, there are people who could be in the diaspora and they don't have time to come back on the ground, or they don't have someone who is very flexible to do this harder for them, then Easy Housing can take on up to the last point. Yes.
In terms of durability of these houses, we know that timber, termites, and other issues, right? And also there is a concern in the industry where people, for example, when they are roofing, they use timber that has not cured very well, and then it warps, or even in buildings or doors, windows. How do you address this?
When you look at this timber construction concept that we have in general, it was well thought of, because when you are designing such a product, you are designing for people and you are not thinking about short term. So the supply chain where we source the material was very important. The timber we are using does not just come from a normal timber yard. Just because everyone is selling timber outside there, we can't just say, hey, give us these pieces, we want to build for this one a house. No. We source the timber from well-known sustainable forestry companies, and we had to do enough due diligence during the early days of setting up this chain, whereby they have very excellent clean drying facilities. Like if timber is not well dried enough, it will have those cracks, it will warp, those things when it is exposed to different radiations and maybe ultraviolet light for a long period of time. So it goes through excellent clean drying, where they put it in a vacuum to suck out the water, and they reduce the moisture content from 100 up to 12%. So this is just good enough to keep it dry and for a long period of time. But not only that, we also pressure treat it, because another element that can lead to deterioration of a structure would be the termites, other bugs, other insects, those that normally bite in the timber. So the pressure treatment is not just a coating on the surface, it impregnates the chemical up to the core of the wood. I can say, for lack of a better word, that every vessel of wood will have its preservative inserted in all its parts. So then we don't only stop there. When we take it in the factory, actually while we are doing it in the factory, we want to ensure that there is quality control, because once you do it on the site, at times you may finish building a structure and the client, after maybe staying there for 6 months, tells you, I'm now seeing this screw getting out. So, but in the factory, we are doing everything on accuracy, and we sand it, and we make these profiles very fine enough, whereby when we apply our paint works, it will be waterproof. So, elements like fire, elements like termites, elements like weather, these are things which can make the structure not to last a long period of time. However, when you well think about it right from the start, where you're getting the timber, then the structure can stand for over 100 years. In Uganda, you may ask yourself, like, do we have any structure which has been actually standing for over 100 years? I can tell you, when you look at the timber structures that were built in Makere back in 1913, these structures have been standing for over 90 years. 90 years, and by that time, the excellent methods of timber construction has not evolved as up to date. When you look at Chirembe mines, where they were mining copper in Kasese, there is almost a fleet of timber structures that were put there, and these ones actually were painted. And sometimes different paints have different effects on the structure and how it can stand for some time, but these are structures which have also been standing for over 50 years. So this is now 2024, and if this was like a car, I'll call it a new model. I'll call it a new model. So it's excellent kind of timber construction. Actually, the beauty about this, why this structure will last over 100 years, we are not actually using glue. We are using screws, very durable screw. A screw which can sink at the bottom of the ocean and will never rust for many years. Timber which can be exposed to all kinds of weather, and it will never have any entry for the hole, for water to enter. If I go into the technical part, I will say we have well-sized overhangs, whereby even if wind is blowing rain towards the surface, it will have no effect. Then when you look at the gutters and the downpipes that we are putting on the roofs, so all this runoff will have no way it will retain on the structure. And also the foundation of the structure itself, it has been built in a way that at least it is raised about like 50 centimeters off the ground. When there is a very, Kampala itself, there are some parts which are known to be flooded. But these structures are flood resilient. I always make a joke that if the worst was to come to the worst, like the days of Noah, such a structure will become a boat. It will just float on the surface. So that's the beauty why we raise it off the ground and leave this space. Water will just pass through, but also aeration. So all these elements will keep your structure for a long period of time, hundreds of years. You will only just keep on maintaining like a normal house. Maybe you want to apply a few paint works, like, you know, people how they are renovating their structure, and you don't have to go say that I'm coming back to Easy Housing. You guys are the people who know how to paint. You lose a local fund in the area to come and do the paint works, and everything will be done. If maybe you reach a point and you feel like now you want to change maybe a certain part of the veranda, yeah, you can. Then that's where you call Easy Housing and say, my decking was now 4 square meters. I want it to become 18 square meters so that I have a well-sized deck with a pergola. Then those are things that you can come back for you. But when you enter also into our network, we become part of the family. We are not going to just abandon you and say, after giving us business, us and you, it's over. No, this is a partnership that continues for a lifetime.
When you look at the list of questions or concerns that customers have, what are you hearing most common? From maybe you can start from the top, the challenge you hear, and maybe the solution.
From the early days when we are setting up Easy Housing in Uganda, there are very many big challenges, which I can term them into misconceptions, because these are thoughts that people had about the structure that were not entirely true, but it's just an assumption that someone could generate in the mind. One of them was termites. Africa, in Uganda in particular, we have places that are known to have termites. Another was about the weather. People were worried that Uganda, we have 2 rainy seasons, March, April, September, October. Those are heavy rainy seasons. So people were wondering, like, if I put this structure in this area, will it survive? Then others were worried about the heat. Then fire was also another incident that people were worried about. And I remember reading some of the comments where someone would say, what if a thief comes and lifts me in that house at night? And yeah, I could even imagine, and I was like, if this was possible, it would be a weird situation. Because people looked at a timber structure and they were like, the walls, a thief will easily come with a hammer and knock and enter inside a timber house. So these were big challenges that came up, and I can say, because by that time the spreading of the timber house across the country was not that diverse, everyone could think like that. However, we had to address these challenges one by one and to prove to people that actually what they are talking about could not be true. For instance, when I look at the issue of the termites, when you look at how termites have been attacking structures, whatever, yes, termites are wood-eating insects, but there is a remedy for it. And this remedy is not something that you are going to just apply on the surface. I see people applying paint on their, like oil on their poles, maybe those who are building stands on the farm. But that's going to be a temporary solution. Others go an extra mile and they sink the foundation of the pole with a polythene sheet, and then they apply concrete around it. All this, they are trying to prevent termites, but termites will eat wood as long as it's not treated at all. And when you are not treating, you don't have to just apply on the surface. You have to protect the entire core of the wood so that termites have nowhere. So when we showed people that actually this is pressure treated, because we even had videos to show people that when wood is put into a drum, while they are absorbing out to the water, they are replacing it with a preservative, which is not going to stay there for a short period of time. People asked about fire, but in general, fire can catch any substance. I cannot say that even a concrete house is immune to fire. Even a timber house can catch fire, but however, there are degrees or intensities, and what points when this timber can catch fire. There is at least primary cladding that is given to the timber that we are using, whereby even if a fire occurrence was to happen, timber naturally it can resist fire by charring on the surface, because you have seen a burnt wood, and that burnt wood on the surface, it burnt, but fire did not complete it entirely, and on the surface there's something like a charcoal-like surface that has been created. So that is another property of wood itself. However, with the research now, there is complete fire proofing for the structure, whereby even if fire is to happen, nothing happens. So our timber goes through the treatment that is given to electric poles. And I would benchmark and I say you have seen electric poles around the country. But how many in a while do you see newspapers or media channels posting that electric pole of this area T&T have caught fires? Even transformers normally burst, but there is no aftermath you see about fire on an electric pole that has been supporting an electric transformer. So the timber we are using, I can say, is excellent, and you can't have to worry about fire, because even when you look at fire in a house, fire normally starts from the inside, maybe from an appliance. They had left a cooker, a gas stove, maybe lighting, and then fire will start. So fire normally starts from the inside, and fire will affect smaller pieces, like compared to larger surfaces. Now look at a beam of wood, like a surface of wood. Fire can't just easily get to burn this area without you getting to know. So we do as much as possible to ensure that at least there is primary action you can do if such an incident occurs. When the worst comes to the worst, fire extinguishers are there, smoke detectors are there in the house that we are giving you, so you will not have to worry. Then thieves, I was surprised. A thief is someone who will not find his way out if at all his mission is successful or is well planned. A thief if thieves can rob banks that are having guns, how about a house? But in terms of strength, I can say timber is stronger than the brick. It's stronger than the brick, and if anyone wants to test, they can come across a wall that has been prefabricated in timber. Press that wall here, press a brick and mortar wall here. You will need an axe to get into some inches of the wooden wall. But with a brick, bricks are loose. Once someone knocks just like 2 bricks, someone is already inside. Currently, people are living in glass house structures. You see a full building completely made out of glass. But why is there no word about that? And yet we know that timber is stronger than the glass. So that was just a misconception that someone could build in a mind. But when people started visiting our houses, we could organize open days, demo days. People come and they touch and they feel the surface. They realize actually that it was just a misconception. I can say that's why our numbers are speaking volumes. We just in a span of just last year, August. Between August and September, we launched a lean and innovative marketing campaign, which generated over 200 plus leads. So in our pipeline. And out of these, people started ordering for homes. And I can say to date, as of this time round, we are about to make 20 homes physically built in Uganda, just from last year. That shows that people have now started adopting to the concept.
And these are the ones you were talking about, Munyonyo, Arua, these different places. Okay. Muyenga, I think you mentioned.
Muyenga.
Okay. Talking about the walls, before we move on, talking about the walls. Typically, when you're building a house, you will have your 6-inch wall, 8-inch wall, 10-inch wall, depending on the brick that you're using. And from the wooden structures that I've seen homes, the walls can be that thick, but they have insulation in the middle as well, right? So can you describe if you had a cross section of the wall, how does it look like from the outside through the middle up to the interior of the house? How does it look like?
When you look at the walls of these homes, the inside walls are made different from the outer walls. In fact, the inside are boards made out of 9mm thickness plywood, and the outer walls are made out of facades, which can be of about the same thickness or more. But in between there is a hole, like a column that is like an empty space, and being supported by very thick pieces of timber. So in these walls, we don't leave them whole, but we pack them with soundproof materials, insulators, so that the whole wall is fully packed like this. Then even when you are to pass in your wires, pipes, everything is enclosed inside those walls. So the inside walls and the outside walls have different variations of thickness, and I can say the inside is just a board of 9mm thickness, and the outside it's real timber, and also it has been well treated, so that when you have a column, we can, especially the bedrooms, we want to put privacy, so they are all soundproofed. Even the roof itself, when you look at it, there is a board. There is a board that has been well designed, but before the board, then there is another kind of a reflecting layer, which is also for insulation, because when the sun is hitting the roof, there is heat that is normally coming from the sheet. So it has to be reflected by a shining surface. So there is a layer before the iron sheets are placed, and then the iron sheets are added. That's why it feels cool to be in a timber house.
When you look at the houses that you're putting up, what customer are you targeting, would you say?
Our vision is to provide a home for everyone. That's the ultimate vision that makes us wake up out of bed every morning. We want to provide a home for everyone. But when you want to provide a home for everyone, there are segments, indeed. So we have been looking at people that are in the residential space. People want homes. Of course, we also have another market for people who want holiday homes. You have a beautiful area, beautiful landscape, maybe near a water body, near a game park, and you want to build the cottages. You can customize to your desires. But 90% of our efforts are on the urban market, because we wanted to provide homes for people, homes for everyone. However, of course, these homes can fit people who are in the middle income segment going upwards, and we didn't want to leave people who are also at the bottom of the pyramid, people who are actually their incomes are not as that much too, because if you look at a house, the smallest house at Easy Housing costs 38 million. That's the studio unit, which has a bedroom, it has a living room, has a kitchen area, and also has a bathroom. That goes around 38 million. But you may find that still...
What's the square footage of that one?
It's 25 square meters, 5 meter by 5 meter. You may find that still there are people who may not find it easy to have that amount of money in just a period of 2 years. So we are still developing a product that is about to come out, and I think it will cut across everyone. It will be one of the best products that people will ever like. That is a rent-own model that we have been working on for a long period of time, where we want to ensure that even a person who is renting an apartment somewhere about 500k UGX per month can actually have this house built for them. And by that time, what we are planning is a person will just need to have a down payment of about 30%. You pay 30%, Easy Housing builds the house completely for you. So you start staying there in that house of yours. You quit renting, you come and now staying in your own house. The money that would have been as rent, let's say you are paying 600k, here you start contributing these payments to your own house. Every month you're paying that 600k, you are reducing on the debt that you are having. So you find that a house, maybe it was supposed to be 38 million, but because we are giving you a 5-year payment plan, of course the financier who is going to finance this has to also put in some interest for the value of his money. You may find that maybe at the end of that period, it may be around after 5 years, you would have paid about 45 million. But it will be worth compared to a person who has been paying 600,000 per month in rent for 10 years, and up to now they have not built their own house. So this is a scheme that we are trying to develop. It will touch people at the baseline of the pyramid, and then people who are in the middle income segment, yes, they will still continue to come, because the benefit of rent own is that you don't have this money at a go, but you can get the house you want at the amount you have within your means. However, also the benefit of this direct purchasing option is that you have all your 38 million. Why should you wait to pay all these interest after that period of time? So you just pay your money at a go. In 4 months, your house is built and you are ready to occupy.
For the 3-bedroom house, this is a typical configuration. For a 3-bedroom house, what is the price for that?
3-bedroom house of 42 square meters. Let me describe it, because sometimes when people talk about 3 bedrooms, they may think it's just 3 bedrooms. How about a kitchen? It is a 3-bedroom. It has a kitchen area. It has a bathroom, 1 bathroom. I'm talking about the standard 3-bedroom, but we have bigger ones. So the minimum which
you can customize.
We can customize.
Okay.
The minimum which can accommodate about 10 people goes for 63.6 million Ugandan shillings.
That's 3-bedroom.
Yeah, 3-bedroom. Has 3 beds, has a living area, has a kitchen area, has a bathroom, and those 3 beds, and you can live there comfortably. Just 63 million. 63 million.
So I heard you say 3 beds. You mean 3 bedrooms?
Yes, 3 bedrooms.
Okay. And 1 toilet or 2?
It has 1 toilet.
1 toilet.
But should you switch and decide want to have more, we can customize. Of course, we price per square meter, so this will have an increment. Okay. Based on how many square meters of the timber structure we are going to increment.
So if I wanted, say, 100 square meters, 3-bedroom house of 100 square meters, how much might that come to?
We have a structure of a 3-bed of 109 square meters. That goes for 136 million. 136. It has very well-sized 3 bedrooms, has a well-sized dining area and a living room. It has a good kitchen area. It has 3 bathrooms, bigger bathrooms. So 137 million.
137. So when you look at the price of a 3-bedroom at 109 square meters compared to maybe condominiums on the market right now, if a person is trying to buy, to make a decision, what should they be thinking about?
Yeah. This is a deep question, but I can say maybe what is so unique about us is that a person in a condominium may not need to have the land because you're already buying something that is off land. And when you look at ours, we don't own land. You give us and you say, I have this piece of land here, I want you to put for me this house here. Maybe the fact that you already have your land, that makes this house affordable for you. But of course, the person who will be selling the condominium may look into the cost of the area where they are putting it up. And if it's in a prime location, places around Kampala, let's say you are buying it in Bukoto, you are buying it in Bugolobi, of course the price may go up because in real estate we know that location determines the price of the structure that, or the price of real estate. Therefore, a person could choose to go for a condominium depending on their choices. Do they want to stay in the city? And at Easy Housing, we are still actually looking into that option. Right now we are working with B2C, business to customer. You have your land, you want a house. But we are also looking at that point whereby we are working with property developers. A property developer already has an estate, wants to put maybe 20 homes, and people will just come and they buy off plan. And then that still you'll find that This cost will include the cost of the land itself, where it is seated, vis-a-vis the other amenities that are surrounded, vis-a-vis the location, because if a place is near to shopping malls, and there's something like that. So right now it's so hard to benchmark a condominium price based on this timber structure, because most of our customers, apart from a few who have land located in cities, most have their lands far away, like within a radius of about 50, even some going beyond 100 kilometers.
Now that you're working with property developers, usually property developers will have, storied buildings, 3 floors, 4 floors, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Are you putting up this? Are you able to put up storied buildings?
Easy Housing itself at the moment has not developed the capacity to put up storied structure. But basing on our prefab system, I don't want to tell someone listening out there that you can't build a storied timber house. I can say it is very possible. The tallest timber structure, the Buji Zanzibar, I think, is built out of timber, completely out of timber. However, this is a different kind of timber that we call mass timber. And I've also been doing a lot of research about very many timber structures that are built outside there. On the African continent, it has not been very diverse. But when you look at places like Sweden, Switzerland, there is a lot of research that is going on where people are demonstrating the resilience and the possibility of timber. However, this is done by mass timber, and mass timber is different from the normal timber we are using, the prefab timber, which is just a single piece of timber. Mass timber, you could join like several pieces of timber. You bind them together by guru, which they call gurulam, and then you compress to have a full beam. So you find like something of a big size like this, about 50 centimeter, a beam of 50 centimeter, fully built out of several pieces of timber, but engineered and joined together. So that one at least can support several stories up to about 15 plus. That is very possible. However, at Easy Housing, we feel like we need to first develop the capacity before we go into expansion. We have been getting these requests from very many people. Can you build storied timber structures? Can you go uprise? And it's our ultimate goal, because if we want to provide a home for everyone, there will be people who want a home, but they don't want a bungalow. And also, I know like when you have a storied structure, you can utilize your space efficiently, because in a plot of 100 decimals, you may find that you can build very many units if you are going upwards, compared to when you are building them on a flat. The beauty we have with our timber structures is that they are movable, they are demountable. So it cannot limit you to build it here. You have a place in Kampala, you feel it's suitable to build there condominiums, but then you realize that you have not got all the financing available to go storied. You can set up these timber structures of Easy Homes. Maybe you can start getting money out of it. And after maybe some time, and you say, now I've got the money to set up the storage structure I want. The house can be shifted and taken to another place. You utilize that space. So there is no complete attachment between the earth and our structures. That's why you saw those foundation blocks. They are scattered around the structure to support. But when you wake up one day and you say, no, now I'm changing my mind. Let me take this structure to my village in Gayaza. Let me put another different development here. This possible. Will allow you.
When a person enters a wooden place, without touching the wall, are they able to see that this is a wooden house, or does it look like an ordinary house on the inside?
So once you enter inside, unless you touch, you may not recognize it's a timber house. Because it's a final finishing, just like you see other walls of a concrete house. The same finishing. So you will not realize, actually I've seen many people coming in and they're like, oh, I didn't know that it's a timber house. I didn't know that inside it's timber. After knocking on the wall, that's when they hear the sound and they say, oh, then this is timber. So you can't recognize. And even outside, our research has evolved because this housing is not only in Uganda, we are in Ghana, we are in Tanzania, with Mozambique, and now recently, a week ago, we have launched in Kenya. So we want to cover the entire sub-Saharan Africa. In Uganda, we built a timber structure which can also be replicated here in Uganda. Completely, if we had to apply plaster boards somewhere because these boards can actually hide the other appearance of timber completely, and the person will see this structure and for years and years, they'll never know that you are living in a timber home. Yeah.
If I have my own architect, so for example, I have a 100 by 50 plots, and ordinarily, if I'm to construct rentals, I would put 1 bedroom, maybe 5, maybe 6 of them if they're a bit tight, right? But if I have my architectural drawing and I bring it to you, can you use that to construct a wooden house based on my design?
Yes.
And it is not storied, it is single floor.
We can use your plan to build for your timber house.
And it would be the same price as the 1 bedrooms that you have or the studio prices?
It can be actually of the same price because normally what determines will be the square footage. We have customizable blocks. We can mirror the design. So even if you come up with an idea that it doubles that size, still we can make it.
Okay, so just to clarify so I understand, what you're saying is that if I bring a configuration right now which is within 109 square meters, then you can work to put that up. If there are units, those rentals, and combined it is less than 109 square meters, then you can work on that one.
Yes.
But even if it is more than 109 square meters, then you can expand.
Yes.
Okay.
We can expand completely because we realize that we need to develop something that is flexible. So we have kind of blocks. They're like a block. So when we find out like you wanted maybe 200 square meters, of course our floor plans, we work in grids. Grids of around 2.4, around 3.05, like that. Why those grids? We are a sustainable concept. We want to reduce on the waste. So when we are ordering the timber, we don't want to have offcuts. We want to order the exact measurement so that those offcuts remain in the factory. We don't want to create waste at any one point in our system. Therefore, those grids are the ones that normally determine like how much. So we have blocks of different grids. If you come when you wanted 112, we can look at a block which can be incremented on that part. Also, something that I had wanted to mention here is that these houses are incremental. Today you begin with a studio. After 1 year you say I want to add it to make it 1 bed. We can increment. If you want, you had started with a 2-bedroom and you want to make it 4, this is still very possible. So that's the possibility here, is that you can increment on the other parts without having to break anyway. So that's still very unique.
So you can increase from your 1-bedroom to 2-bedroom when you have gotten some money, and then to 3-bedroom. Change the configuration. Okay, as long as the land is there. So what I'm hearing is if someone has their land and it is either upcountry or any location in town here where they want to put up structures, they can say, for example, put up rentals here in the city center. If it is upcountry, they can put up like cottages for people to go visit those places, country homes, a 1-story hotel upcountry, right? You can do this, and such related things, but nothing that is going to go upwards. It is for now on ground level, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if someone has a plan, their own architectural plan, they can come to you and you can work to build that architectural plan, where they want the kitchen, where they want this and all this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
that one, the architectural plan that I bring would fall still in the timeline of the 4 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In the timeline of 4 months, because prefabrication is a very fast, when you already have these measurements in mind, it's very fast actually. That's why most people like the prefab. And it has favored people who are actually even abroad, who are in the diaspora. Someone who wants to build a home in Uganda, but he's worried about whom to trust with their money.
Of course.
Here, once you give us this money, everything is on us. For us, we are just waiting for you to tell us that I want to place it here. So the coordination of the labor, the delivery of the materials, everything, you just have to come with your keys and you enter your house.
What type of wood are you actually using? Are you using eucalyptus, pine, mahogany? What kind of wood are you using to build these houses? And do you have any concerns about deforestation?
The wood we are using actually is pine. The reason number one is that it is in plenty in Uganda. And also another reason is we want to reduce on the pressure on the existing natural forests. When you look at forests like Mabila, they are under pressure. People are trying to cut out a lot of massive tree cutting, of which the trees there take hundreds of years to get reasonable pieces of timber. But why did we choose pine? Pine is a tree that can be planted, and 15 years you are harvesting it. Thanks to the good climate in Uganda, which favors actually growth of pine. And I can say the pine we are using is, in Uganda, is where it grows very fast. If you move around the country, everyone has invested in the trees. So how are we curbing deforestation? We curb deforestation by sourcing timber from only well-managed forests. In Uganda, we have only partnered with only well-managed forests. For instance, in Busoga, there's a Busoga Forestry Company. Those are companies that have over 900 hectares of pine that they have planted just for commercial forestry. And they have well-designed management plans which are guiding them to harvest. So they have a plan that they can harvest pine in 20 years without running out of timber. However, a person even may wonder, like, you guys are using timber, you are using pine, won't you eventually run out of timber? Because much as it is a regenerative material, but won't you run out of timber? Pine takes 15 years, and as far as the forest people are concerned, you plant today 100 hectares today, on day one. In 15 years, all those 100 hectares would have reached maturity, because pine takes 15 years maximum to mature. When that time reaches, the grower will not harvest those 100 hectares at once. No, you have what we call a plan, a harvesting plan, and you say, out of these 100 hectares, I will need maybe this amount of cubic meters a month or a year. So you will find that to harvest those 100 hectares, it's going to take you some good years. It's not easy to harvest 100 hectares in 1 month. So by the time you begin with the first hectare, you are harvesting it today. The next 3 months, you are replanting it. So by the time you remove from the first hectare up to the 99th one, you will find that where you started from, it has already started reaching about 50. So if you are going to harvest in 20 years, it means where you started from, by the time you come back, the trees that you had planted by that time, they have also matured. So the cycle repeats. It's a sustainable concept. And in Uganda, we have calculated that actually we can build about, we can build over 100 homes per year by just sourcing timber from Busoga. And each house that we are building sustains an equivalent of about 0.5 hectare of the plantation forest. Each home that we are building sustains about a football field that is full of trees. Meaning that every time we are placing an order, we want this quantity of timber, these people are going to replant an equivalent of that area of a football field full of trees. Now think about if we are building 1,000 homes per year. This is the impact that we shall have added. So we shall have restored thousands of square meters of the forest area every year that we are building a home. So that there is no way we can ever cause deforestation. Instead, we are putting, or we are stimulating demand for sustainable forestry. And that's what we even want for people, growers out there. We want them to be FSC certified. Because if we are not FSC certified, we are not so sure. You may have a plan and you say, I had bought land in a rural area, it has not yet developed, let me plant trees. Then if the area develops in the next 15 years, you are going to put there rentals. That is not sustainable. So we want someone who is in the business of trees. You are planting trees and you know forever and every time you'll be planting trees. Not also this one who will say, I planted trees, but after I realized sugarcane makes more money, you cut them down, you plant sugarcane. No, it will not make our business sustainable in the long run. So that's why we have won actually very many awards when it comes to sustainability. Recently, last year, we are recognized as the top winners of Uplink World Economic Forum for Sustainable Forestry Challenge. And also globally, we have even gone beyond FSC, because FSC is the Forest Stewardship Council. It has criteria and guidelines it gives to the tree growers. You don't just have to be in the tree business, but how are you treating the people that are working in your plantations? Which chemicals are you using in your plantations? How are you treating the indigenous tree species? Are you cutting them down? Because people who are carrying out deforestation, you find someone has cleared a number of mahogany trees or mivulis to replace with eucalyptus, because they know eucalyptus takes 4 years. But that's not good, because the ecosystem values that are derived from these indigenous tree species cannot at any one point be compared to the planted forests. So FSC as a must is something that guides us. But we have gone beyond that, whereby we have also gone into the Climate Smart Forest Economy Program, which is the CSFEP. This is ensuring that there are safeguards in the sourcing of the timber. We want also to see, are there safe measures that are put in place while you are giving us the timber? We are looking at the carbon footprint of the source of the timber to the factory. All these things are put into perspective. And also, deforestation is something that has widely driven the impact of climate change. Because when you are cutting down trees, greenhouse gases are going to be released back into the atmosphere, and these are the ones that are going to cause the carbon dioxide blanket, which eventually will lead to the melting of the polar ice caps. You see flooding, rain patterns changing. But Easy Housing has something unique actually to any person who is doing construction. The timber, you know, when a tree is growing, it is absorbing carbon dioxide by photosynthesis, and that carbon dioxide is stored in form of wood. And you see, because if you want to know where is the carbon that I'm talking about, you can burn a piece of wood. The smoke that is escaping back, that's the carbon. So what do? We store it in form of a construction type, which we call the construction stored carbon. So you see that full structure that is sitting up there, a timber house. It's not just a timber house, it is storing over 20 tons of CO2. And that's why I can say that Easy Housing is claiming for the carbon credits that for each house that we're building. So we are selling carbon credits on top of just selling a house. And the aim or the vision of the carbon credits is to ensure that at least there could be some decrease in the price of these homes eventually. The people that I've been talking to in the past days actually thought that maybe because it's a timber house, it's supposed to be very cheap. Thought maybe it's supposed to be 5 million, because people thought timber has to be cheap. But ideally, timber is not supposed to be cheap. It's supposed to be affordable. And when it comes to price, if you have ever gone into a market that sells eco-friendly products, the price of those items are not actually as the same as assuming you are buying a wooden water bottle vis-a-vis a plastic water bottle. A wooden water bottle is going to be more expensive compared to a plastic water bottle. Why? Because you are not just selling the wooden water bottle, but you are selling the value. You are selling the time it takes to have such a product. You are selling the durability, the lifetime of such a product. Because with the plastic, after some time, it's going to be broken down, it's going to crack. The impact it has on the environment is even worse. Here, the technologies we have looked at, one, we are using very durable screws. Very durable screws. I've seen screws that have been put in structures and you find it's rusty. We are using high quality screws that it's actually the only material that we are importing from outside. The rest we source locally because we try to use the local screws, but the local screws, they are not that durable because of maybe the suppliers, their target audience, we are not meant to be for people like Easy Housing who are building structures that are going to stand for a lifetime. And also we looked at the timber itself. It goes through excellent treatment. You may find out on a common timber yard, someone selling timber pieces and say, oh, this timber is cheap, but this timber is not treated. You don't know where this timber is coming from. You don't know the process it went through to reach here. So the quality screws we are using, the durable timber we are using, it goes through those excellent treatment processes because we want you not to worry about any bug, any kind of weather. This makes the structure actually to be a luxury. We build these houses and we incorporate modern technologies because we want them to fit to the standards of the city. We don't want someone to come out there and say because it's a timber house, it's traditional, it's not meant to be in this kind of maybe my lifestyle. We have built it in a way that it favors your lifestyle. The way we have placed the kitchen, if you have seen some of the images on our social media platform, the kitchen is a modern one. You are not going to use a charcoal stove inside this house. If you want, you can create a slab outside and you cook from there. But this supports a modern kitchen where you have your cooking top there, you have a washing machine there. You may be worried that this is a timber house. Now, what if water spills on the surface? Won't the structure get damaged? The paint that we are using is excellent and is waterproof. In the bathrooms, we have designed these bathrooms in a way that it is a watery environment, but we have even applied tiles. You can apply tiles. Some have gone to the extent of putting stones. Others put bathtubs. It's a modern house. We put everything inside there so that you have all the comfort that you need. And it doesn't also discriminate whether you want to put an AC system at a later time, though we trust the design of our structures. They are spacious enough, and also if you look at the windows, they allow more light to come into. They allow this cross ventilation, so the entire house is well aerated. You will not need to worry about the AC. But should you wish to put an AC system, internet cables, all these things are fully integratable into the house. And also, we want clean energy, because when you look at, if you were to advance and provide a decent house, you wouldn't expect someone to use a lamp that is going to emit fumes, that is going to dust the structure. Here, we have built it in a way that it is fully integratable with the solar system and even the electricity, the hydroelectricity. And I've seen most of our clients, especially those that are located far away from cities, some even want to go completely off-grid, whereby they are using completely solar energy. I've been to one of our clients who built a timber house and put in all these things like kitchen, the washing machine, everything has been running on completely solar. And I got a chance actually to see that the solar energy there was even more powerful to the extent that I found his fridge was making ice. I was like, so there is no reason, there is no excuse a person will live for worrying to set up their cabin anywhere. You have your land located, no matter how far it is, we can reach there. And we can put everything that a modern house you would think of. The roof sheets we are using, we are not using the normal mabati, which people know that you go into a neighborhood and the iron sheets are all rusty. The gauge that we are using is to be there for a lifetime without having to see rusty particles jumping off of your iron sheet. We don't want you to have a house whereby you are in a house, but the rain is hitting on the roof and you are feeling that sound. It's completely soundproof. The roof is soundproof. And also the way the houses have been designed, actually this is something so special. They are slanting, but the way they are slanting, for instance, the mono-pitch houses, they are slanting at different angles to ensure that there is counter-current exchange of air for hot and the cold air. So that counter-current difference is the one that keeps the people inside in a humid environment, making it cool. But then we also have a crystal one. Some can call it French cut, a crystal house whereby the roof is overlapping. So that overlapping part, there is a space we leave and we put the crystal windows, whereby light can come into the house, but through those crystal windows. So if you are designing a house that is supposed to be energy efficient, the amount of light that is entering is very important. So these are the designing criteria that we are incorporating, and they are making everything modern, and they can fit in all kinds of aspects. And the people who have gone for it, the feedback I've been receiving.
What are they saying?
Actually, most of them, there is one who told me, actually, you have exceeded our expectations. This is not what we expected. Even me, I've not been to sites because most of these sites are located far away from our offices. But one time I visited one of the completed houses. I was also amazed. I looked at the studio and I was like, oh my God, this is beauty of the highest order. So most of them want to give us more businesses because some test us with a studio, like maybe a single unit, and they expect that maybe if it comes out as they expected, they will give you another big 5 homes. So that is also true. And I remember in the early days, one of the customers told me, I don't want to be the test. I don't want to be the rub rat. Whereby you guys, you are building your house and you want people to see how they react on me. So I said, no, it's fine. You are not going to be the first one. But at least now people are happy. We have an interactive map where you can see numbers. We have built in almost all strategic regions of this country. We have built a house there. So if someone is in Chiwenda and wants to see, we have a house. If someone is in Gayaza and wants to see a house, there is one. If you are in Buluzira, you want to see, there is one. Butabika, there is. Muyenga, there is. Mbalala, Mpiji. All these locations, we have tried as much as possible to build their homes. And they fit in those contexts. So customers are very happy. And most of them actually, they later tell us that you told us late. Otherwise, if this system was here before, then we would have saved a lot. And another thing I've realized that people are looking for experiences. If you are in real estate and you are building such eco-friendly homes, you are not just selling a timber house, but people are looking for experiences. There is a way a timber house makes you feel when you are inside it. The atmosphere, looking at light, when you look at the way, when a beam of light is exposed on the wooden surface, there is a way it makes you feel, the ambience. And then, that's why when you go into those holiday places, like maybe game parks, or you go into
the resorts
there. Most of the structures, even if it's not completely made out of timber, there is a timber piece attached to it. Why? People are getting away out of their fancy houses. They want to feel experiences. They want to feel connected to the environment. So someone will feel fine to see a table that has been placed into a timber house, and that table maybe was made out of a dead wood, the dead wood that was maybe discarded 100 years ago, something that speaks with a story. They feel like they are connected back to their surroundings, and that's what people are looking for. But look at concrete. People have been staying in concrete for years. Yeah, it's a good house actually, but you need to have these experiences outdoors.
Let me take you back to the beginning. You mentioned that when you were entering the industry, of course, you had challenges. People didn't know about the houses. There was a high barrier of education and all these related challenges, right? I'm curious to know, from that starting point up till today, what have you observed? What is the change? Is there any change? What have you observed from the beginning up till today?
Yeah. What we have observed, I can say, is similar to any startup journey, because along the way, we had to bring our product to the market to fit. And the misconceptions that we went through and addressing them was quite a big challenge, because I can say it is so hard to sell a timber house in Uganda. It's so hard to convince people who have not been to that kind of environment, unless they have been well traveled, well exposed. Because we have also such people in our pipeline. Someone who has been in the diaspora for long, and they don't actually ask many questions.
They already see.
They already so they know what it's actually to them. It's a normal house.
Yes, of course.
So they just come through the process of just making a payment. However, we have also realized in the long run that actually when you build a product that is involving, you don't build a product for yourself, but when you incorporate the aspects and ideas of the people you are building it for, it will stand out for the test of time. Most people, when they are starting up such projects, they normally don't think they don't put themselves in the shoes of the end user, because you are building this house, but you are going to put a toilet next to a kitchen. How are you going to explain that? So the ability to be flexible, I think, is something that I've realized that not everyone, we have standard floor plans, but not everyone in the market
wants that one.
Wants that one. And I've got a lot of feedback where people told me, Brian, we don't want to be in a situation whereby in the whole village we all have houses of the same roofs,
of course,
of the same design. Why? People want to be unique. When we realized that we had to be flexible on what people wanted, the design, then everything took a turn.
Growing.
Yes. Started growing. We are very flexible. Even up to date, if you have your design, we cannot say that, no, we don't want, we have to look into it. We want you to be involved in the decision-making process. We don't want to give you, because buying a house is a big decision.
Of course.
Of course, we have had challenges, but also achievements along the way. The challenges have been there, but they have taught us, and the lessons we have picked have made us to become achievers. Easy Housing started with a team of about 3 people. Today we are over 20 plus people in Uganda and globally, and also have a team of over 10 people who are just the carpenters that are making these homes in the factory. We started with a small factory in Bwebaja, along Entebbe Road. The factory was making about 1 home per week, per month actually. And globally we have been recognized. In Uganda, I think Easy Housing, so far, we are the ones holding the torch. And now people have trust. We have also built customer trust, because in the past, it was so hard to convince someone to buy a house. They will ask you, how many have you built?
Of course.
Where have you built? Where are those houses located? That was a big question which I saw like 100 times. Where are those houses located? And now that we are having over 20 plus locations, we are proud of these numbers. I say you click on the map. Click on that map there, you will see. So this is also something that has boosted our growth and the impact. Because Easy Housing, actually, our goal is not to make money.
Really?
Yes.
What is the goal?
Because money is a tool that we are using, of course, to finance, but the goal, most of the time, people start companies to make profits. But if you start a company with an objective of making profit, eventually you will fail out on developing a successful product. But if you focus on building a better product, then profit will follow you. How have I seen this? Initially, actually still our core values. One, we want to provide happy inhabitants. At least on average, each home should have about 5 people that are happy. Then forest areas sustained. On average, we want to sustain about 0.5 hectares of the plantation. Every home we are building. Then we're also looking at the carbon storage. We want to see that at least each home stores over 10 tons of carbon dioxide. That is the carbon storage. Then we are looking at the ecosystem value. We want to ensure that at least there is a value given back to the ecosystem in terms of the supply chain that we are going through. So all these, when you combine them together, you don't see that if you start making money. If we were to make money, I can tell you, we will be getting timber cheaply from anyone else. We wouldn't mind where are you getting the timber from, which trees have you. Deforestation will be on rise because imagine the impact we are creating. Right now we have over 100 trees in our pipeline, but to build the homes for all these people, how many trees are you going to put down? The question will be, how many trees are you going to put up? That's the most important thing. So our vision still stands, a home for everyone, and we want to be sustainable in a way that we are using everything that is sustainable, everything that is reusable. No waste is created in the entire chain. People build structures, and the cost of cleaning that structure after you have built it can actually pay for 50% of an easy home. The cost of cleaning just the structure after construction. So we are minimizing waste. Then we are social in a way that we don't want to be benefiting ourselves alone, but even the communities where we are working from. We have to get the local labor locally, we source the labor locally, and these people are also benefiting. Because they are getting something in terms of money, in terms of their well-being. Then also scalable. It is a concept that can be put anywhere. Anywhere. Even if someone was to order a house in Kenya today, it can be made in a factory and put on truck, just like you are transporting a container of goods. And then the house is fitted there.
Talking about scale, let me talk about the growth of the company. You said since August last year, I think, up till now, you have 20 houses that you've put up. And then in your pipeline, you have an additional 100 leads that you're working on, right? To me, that looks like it is a good growth curve, right? Do you feel the same? Do you feel that going forward in future, this is something that is going to be sustainable, that more people will actually come on board and be able to build these houses?
Yeah, looking at how this journey has been, and also looking at how, because I'm happy that I've been at the earliest start of the ground up, and I can actually give a good comment about the numbers. I think in the next coming years, it is going to be actually bigger. People are going to be adapting to these homes more than ever before, because our goal was to build 100 homes per year. That was the goal. But just this year because actual construction of all these homes has happened this year. In this year alone, we are making 20 homes, just in 2024. I'm assuming if we proceed at the same pace, in 2025, we may hit the target of 100 homes per year, because even the capacity has doubled.
Yes, you mentioned the factory, you moved from the one and you went to the other one in Chireka, I think, making 4 or 5 homes a month.
We are trying to cut the timelines, because most of the customers who are coming have realized people have their money, they don't want to waste time. They feel even the 4 months are more.
It's a long time.
Someone wants a house in 1 month. So we are still expanding our capacity, and if that one is sorted, you'll find that all these orders that we are getting, they can actually be fixed. We can build 10 homes in a month. This is very possible. So moving forward, in the years to come, more people are going to be going for this kind of construction. More and more people. Reason why it has proved to be cost competitive with other houses on the market. And also it is very fast. And also, construction takes a lot of stress. if you have ever been in supervision of your home or you are building something somewhere, it is so stressful because today you budgeted for this, then you hear that another cost has come in, someone running away with bags of cement. You go through all this stress. At the end of the day, you reach a point and you say, I'm tired. And that's why some people even build and stop and say, this thing is stressing me. Let me first see how it's going to benefit me, then I can get back to it. Not because they don't have money, but it has stressed them.
Yes.
But then when you look at timber, within 1 month, we don't build and stop. No, we build and complete. There is no way that we shall say, now it is stopping on wall plate. Here we build up to the point of finishing.
Are you working together with the Ministry of Housing, Urban Development? When you look at the construction industry in the country, where do you see yourself? At what level are you coming in?
We have been working with National Housing. Actually, we are working on a partnership which has not yet come out solidly, but we have been having back-to-back conversations and they are fruitful. So there is something unique that we want to develop with the National Housing Construction Company and Corporation, because we know they have more land. And in our pipeline as Easy Housing, we have the capacity to build. There are people who have been asking us that, do you have houses that are already built I can just buy? I remember the early days, I think we even stopped counting. We have over 300 plus people that we are reaching out. I have money, but I don't have what? Land. So we are working hard with all the stakeholders, National Housing, and even these other big entities like NSSF are reaching out. Yeah.
So National Housing, in this arrangement, if you can share, National Housing would then, in that case, be giving you land, and then on that land you can construct these houses, and then people come and buy those houses from there.
Yes, that is the partnership we are trying to look at. Yeah, we are trying to have that, because they have told us actually they have a lot of land, even in the rural areas, not only in the city areas, because it is the entity that was mandated to construct houses, and their vision is also very clear. But the fact that we can combine our efforts with them, I think we can make something very impactful for the people of Uganda.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's very clear why you were asked to come here and talk to us. You're very technical, knowledgeable on the facts and on the company itself. We wish you great success and continued growth in the sector.
Yeah, thank you so much, Albert.